Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on Their Fight Story. We have Marissa with us. Marissa, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. How did you get into martial arts?
um, so I actually, from a young age, like probably younger than 10, 8, 9 years old, I wanted to wrestle. Even attended two wrestling practices, but at that time, and this is now a few decades ago, it was still not normal for women to be wrestling.
Yeah.
Even I had my brother wrestled, and nobody even wanted their sister on the team, anything like that. So I had no support. I tried to drag my other sister with me. She's the exact opposite of me, so that didn't work out. But I did go to two practices and just didn't end up sticking with it. And so it was like always something that just like kind of lingered in my head as
Mhm.
it just piqued my interest. Not saying, who knows if I would have even stuck with it that long. But then
Mhm.
when I was 16, 17, I went to actually an MMA gym with some of my friends and didn't even know, what jujitsu was at all. Hadn't, ever tried kickboxing, and it was just like an awesome experience, but I couldn't afford it. I was far away from my house. And then um, when I was 19, I started dating somebody who taught Taekwondo. So I started training. And that relationship went to shit. And I just was like, you know what, now that I actually, for all these years, it was always something that I wanted to do,
Yeah.
and never had the means to do so. And then I just looked up, martial arts in Connecticut, and I walked into the gym I'm at now, almost a decade later, with training underneath Andrew Calandrelli at Ultimate MMA Training Center,
Mhm.
literally 9.5 years ago, and I never left.
That's awesome.
And he just kind of told me what my whole life story would be. I would, be fighting and competing and achieve these titles. And I was like, yeah, this, dude's crazy. I just like training, and everything he's told me I could do, I've done. So
Is that something that you wanted to do or you just
I
wanted to learn?
I didn't even know the UFC existed. When I walked in an MMA gym, I had no idea the UFC existed. I didn't know that women fought. I literally had like I had tried out a jujitsu class when I went to the MMA gym years earlier, but I didn't know what jujitsu was. I was like, oh, this is kind of like wrestling, but like
Mhm.
with a twist. I didn't know, it's just another random martial art. I always, honestly, growing up, anybody said like, oh, I do martial arts, I would look at it like as a dorky connotation, which
Yeah.
is weird, but like you wear the uniform and and so to actually know that there was differences of them, I had no idea. I was just, I didn't even know it existed. So I just kind of walked in and I was like, wow, they don't treat me any differently because I'm a
Mhm.
girl. Because even when I had tried out that MMA gym years earlier, like the instructor, I was the only girl in the jiu-jitsu class, and the instructor still made comments like, this move might be awkward for some people, and it's like, obviously you're talking to me. I'm the girl in the class. Okay, I guess we still haven't grown up from years earlier, but I didn't care. That's not why I didn't go back.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I've always been a tomboy. So that didn't bother me that I was the only girl. It just like I just didn't have a means to be able to afford it and get there and whatever. It would just whatever. And just Google brought me into, where I'm at now, and my whole life has completely changed. I would have never imagined I could have do anything I've done or am capable of doing at the moment. So
Yeah. So what was it about you walking into this particular school that made you stick with it? Because like in order to do something like that, it's like you have to connect. It's if not, then it just doesn't make sense. Nothing really feels right. But what was it about this particular school? Because you've been there for almost 10 years.
yeah, so and that's exactly how I am. That like I nothing's forced in my life. Like if I'm
Mhm.
not, I go by vibes. Like if I'm not
Mhm.
feeling it, I'm not feeling it. I don't, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. And I just, like I said, I walked in and did an intro with somebody who's not even with us now, like a little jujitsu intro, and it was like intro, and it was like nobody even. There was no comments. There was no like, cause you're a girl. There was
Mhm.
no, like they literally just looked at me exactly the same, and I literally can picture still that first intro session and just being like, holy shit, like I'm allowed, not like even
Mhm.
allowed here. I'm just not even looked at differently. And like that's all I want is just respect. Like I don't want to be treated differently. I
Mhm.
just train me as you would. you
Mhm.
know, I'm just an eager person, and like getting to wrestle with people, and like it was just amazing. I just honestly, when I walked in there, I was really at a really low point, and I was very unhappy for a long time because I was in a really bad relationship. And I walked in there, and it's like everything went out the door. Like nothing else mattered. And that's why I fell in love with that place, because literally nothing else mattered when I walked in that door.
Yeah, once you find that place, there's really nowhere else that makes sense because I found a place like that, and my instructor ended up moving his family to Florida, so it kind of, like went away, and it's like, oh no, like
I really would have moved.
it's like, oh no, like what happened to my family? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
now I found another place that's home.
Yeah.
So to actually find a place like it's very, it's rare. And it took years to find a place to call home. So once you have it, it's like you don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
So how long were you training there when you decided that, yes, I want to be fighting?
So that never happened. I've never once asked to fight ever. I just showed up every day like a mad woman. I remember saying to my boss and his brother at the time, like, I was like, you guys don't believe me, but I'm going to be in here every single day. I'm like, I'm sure people say that to you.
Yeah.
I'm like, but legit, I'm going to be in here I had nothing else going on in my life. I had no friends. I had nothing. I was literally at rock bottom, literally nothing. And I was like, you don't believe me, but I'm going to be in here every day. And I just love training. And I was just so happy for like the first time in a year, like over, I just like, it just, like I said, everything went out the door. I was able to just enjoy myself. I had people supporting me, and my coach Andrew, who he was like, you're gonna compete, you're gonna fight, he told me all these things, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But after 3 months, I was like, you know what, let me do my first tournament. Like, yeah, I said I'm gonna do it. And actually that week, I remember by like Wednesday, I was like, I don't feel right. Like, didn't even go to work. I definitely had like the flu, but I was like, I said I was competing this weekend. I'm doing it anyways. And it was in Naga in Hartford, Connecticut. And I went, and like my first match, I felt, and I couldn't even train the rest of the week. I couldn't even work, couldn't train Wednesday, Thursday, still went and competed. And lo and behold, if you know anything about me, that's of the norm. But, my first two matches, and like by the finals was just like wrecked, like shouldn't have even been there, and end up losing like by points in the finals, whatever. But I still remember my first tournament, and like from then on, it was just like a wrap. I don't know, but I again knew nothing about the sport prior to walking in there, so I didn't have aspirations. I didn't know who Ronda Rousey was. So a few years later, because I started training in 2012, a few years later, Ronda started coming to the surface, and everybody's Facebooks were, UFC and Ronda Rousey. And I was like, wow, I've been doing the sport for years now. Like now it's a thing. I had no idea at all prior to like the UFC back in the day. I don't watch TV, not saying it's on TV, but like I'm so out of the loop that like I don't know. So he just told me he saw talent. He saw maybe not talent, but passion, aggression, whatever it was. And he just said, hey, I can mold this into something. So
He saw your potential that you couldn't see in yourself.
pretty much, I could have never told you I would be a professional MMA fighter and boxer 15 years ago. I would have laughed at you. I mean, like, I would have been like, all right, I'm down, but like, how do I get there to do that? I would have laughed, like, yeah, okay.
So how did your parents feel when you took your first fight, or basically your first fight? Because I mean, you've been training.
Well, my mother is, so I'm like a calm balance. I would say like growing up, I had a temper. Now I don't. You'll never see me mad. Like I don't let people get under my skin like that at all. And that calm side is from my mother. My mother is my balance. She's where I get my like rationality. My father is the one who could have told you, he passed away, but he could have told you a million stories of him growing up, and like he'll tell you I never lost a fight. And like he was a short guy, and picking fights with bigger guys and always standing up for somebody. That's the thing. Growing up, I would always stand up for anybody. Like no matter who it was. If you didn't even have to be my friend. Like if you were getting bullied, I'm like, leave him alone. Like my sister got bullied because she has like a really high pitched voice. Whoever ever meets her, she had a different voice. So she always got picked on, and she was my older sister. But like I always was standing up for her. So I was always, I'm not afraid of confrontation. I never have been. I'm not scared of anybody. Like, that's always been just me. I've always been like a little aggressive, whatever. So all these things were just already me. It just needed somebody to mold it into something. So long story short, my father liked this. He would literally like look up my opponents and be like, she's gonna throw a spinning back fist. And like my coach and Andrew and I would be like, and like the chick threw a spinning back fist, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, good thing my dad was, so he loved it. My mom now enjoys it if I'm fighting. It's not like she's gonna watch fighting, but if I'm fighting, then she's like, into it as long as blood is limited and no eye injuries, whatever. But because she's a nurse, so. But they're supportive. My family's supportive. My brother, my sister, so.
That's awesome. Where did you get your name, the Spider Monkey?
So Andrew gave me that literally 9.5 years ago, and it just stuck, and people like saying it. And it's easy to remember. I have a long last name. I have 2 last names, Messer-Belencia. I had a guy the other day was like, saw my shirt, and he was like, oh, you do that fighting stuff, and I was like, yeah, but not like karate, like I really like fight. And he was like, well, I used to do karate, and it's like, I didn't mean it, like I wasn't trying to offend him. I was just saying it's not like mumbo jumbo, like I really am a professional fighter. And the next day he's like, oh my god, I looked you up, it's like Spider Monkey, like people just like that is something you can remember. So hey, if it works, it works. So
now they're gonna make a song out of it.
Yeah. The guy, I was not expecting that even reaction. This is the next day because he was doing work next door. So it was just funny.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, people must like think twice when you say, yeah, I'm a fighter, because
part of it, they're like, hey, you're little, 5 feet tall, I fit at 105 pounds. And then they're like, oh, she was actually serious.
Yeah, it's like they have this idea that you have to look a certain way, you have to be a certain gender, you have to be a certain height, you have to look a certain role, in order to do all that. And you don't fit any of it. Like, you have these beautiful locks, your beautiful hair, you're fit. Not that people aren't fit when they fight, but they're looking, in their minds, they're thinking like a 5'10" female who's built like a truck, and you know what I mean? And you see Spider Monkey walking by, and they're like, oh yeah, she's nothing, like she can take you out in like 2 seconds, so just step aside.
Well, thank you.
Who's your biggest influence?
My biggest influence. I mean, the person I would like to. So it's interesting because for years, like I said, I didn't ever ask to fight, and for years, I fought because I was told I would be good at competing. And there was plenty of times like I would be mad, like Andrew would be like, you're fighting this weekend and you're fighting next weekend, like legit, like I would fight back-to-back boxing matches. That's how it is, that's normal. One weekend, next weekend, go here for training, and I'm like, damn, like I don't even enjoy it sometimes, a lot of time. This is like for years of doing this nonstop competition, week after week, month after month. And I got to a certain point of competing, and I was like, I want to do this for me. Like, now I want to compete for me. I don't want to just, I was doing it for so long because Andrew told me I'd be good at it. And so I want to make him happy and compete because, who wants to disappoint somebody who believes in them? But after a few years, I was like, you know what? I want to do this for me. But Andrew's definitely my biggest influence. I don't even understand how somebody could retain the amount of knowledge that he has retained over the years. And he's been around from the start before a lot of these coaches who get all this recognition. He was, around in the 90s traveling to New York just to get training. Now people are learning stuff on YouTube and they're like, oh, I'm a full trainer. And it's like he learned from like the main people, and his knowledge, like I'm like, oh, you need me to screw in that light bulb over there for you, but like he could tell you anything about anything with fighting, and like I don't even question his instinct. Like if he says it, okay, I believe you. Like I legit, and I trust in his training, his knowledge, is everything. So like he influences me the most because he's had my back. He's been there with me when I'm at rock bottom. He's, stood up for me when other people wouldn't, he's just my drive, I guess. So I do it for myself, but I do it more for him. So he's my biggest influence.
And you were talking about people learning stuff on YouTube. You guys have a YouTube channel
We do.
where, yeah, and I watch it all the time and I always save it like, oh, I got to try this one. Oh, I forgot about this one,
Yeah.
but I honestly haven't done it. I watch it and in my mind, I'm doing all of it. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I did that submission. Oh, I did this, I did that, but I haven't. When did you guys decide to do this? Was it just during the pandemic or did you guys have it before?
So he had it. He's tried over the years, just like here and there. He'd have people help him put up videos and record this, but it's a freaking full-time job. YouTube's a full-time job. And then so like March happened last year, pandemic, and we were like, shit, like what, like we have to survive somehow. And I was like, listen, we have to record techniques for our members. We have to do as much as possible to still be benefiting them in some sense while they stand behind us right now, and not just like jump ship and be like, oh, okay, you guys have to close for however many months, like we're not gonna pay. I reached out to every single member and I was like, listen, if you will stand by us right now, like we absolutely will credit you all this time, but like in the meantime, like let's provide them as much value as possible. And we just started recording techniques and you like putting more on the YouTube, and then we just started hustling, and we were like, listen, we're doing 4 videos a week. We would do all different categories: boxing, jiu-jitsu. I would do a fitness video. I would do a food video. Like we just started literally hustling. Like what can we offer to people? And now we've slowed it down, like, because that's like a lot to do, but we got ourselves 10,000 followers, which is what you need to get to a certain level of YouTube. We got, the watch time. So literally hustled for a year and got to a place where like people don't know. But if it weren't for the pandemic, we would have never been able to do that because we wouldn't have had that much extra time to record. We literally would meet for hours and just record, like 3-4 of us. Okay, somebody with the camera, you're holding pads, you're hitting pads. Like, what techniques do we need to put out there? And we're able to put a whole app and curriculum together for like our members. So it goes together with the YouTube, but it wasn't all just about YouTube. But hey, you gotta make lemonade out of lemons. Like literally leveled up so crazy over the pandemic. So it was horrible at the time, but it was a blessing in disguise because it just made us like, you have to evolve.
Yes. Yeah, no. I mean, I saw you and I'm like, okay, she's a trainer, she's a fighter, she's a chef, she's like, what else can you fit into your your category of things that you do? It's like, geez, I don't know how you do it. But you have to be focused. And that's the thing. A lot of people have the idea, but they don't have the discipline.
Execution.
And it's just I don't know. And I don't know how you do it. I don't, because you've been presented with so many different obstacles and these, I think like past 3 years, you've been back to back to back. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, how is she still standing? Like, where do you find that drive, that resilience to keep going?
Well, so speaking of just like obstacles, like I know better than anybody, like life is short and too many people take life for granted, and everybody thinks they have more time, and people aren't true to themselves. I don't bullshit. I don't speak any other language except English, and sometimes that's like too harsh for people, but like I say it how it is. That's I if you want to disagree with me, like teach me. Like I'm open-minded, I'm open to learning. Like I'm not I just literally take life 1 second at a time, life as it is. I manage my time so that I can achieve things. I just know that too many people doubt their potential. And if you believe in yourself and you work hard, amazing things happen. I just saw a video today that somebody sent me, and it's just like, not, just like, don't settle. Like if you're settling for average, you're going to wake up one day and you're gonna look at your life and you're gonna be like, what is this? I don't want a life I settled for. I don't, I literally just follow my gut, and if life wants to give me these lemons like they do and take people out of my life who I love, I have to keep moving. Life doesn't stop when shitty things happen. Life keeps going. So you just wake up the next day and get out of bed, even when you don't feel like you want to get out of bed. I'm not a victim. I don't like people who have a victim mentality. Poor me, pity me. Like that's you're wasting your time. I'd rather be strong. I want to be strong, and so like that's why people even weightlift. Like you go against resistance, you get stronger. Like I'm here to be like, screw you, life. I conquered you. You did not conquer me. That's my mentality. So whatever like somebody wants to throw at me, like that's how I even look at fights. Like come at me with all you got. That's fine. Somebody could beat me up. That's perfectly fine. But you better bet I'm gonna go down swinging. I don't care. There's plenty of people better than me, more skilled than me. But like you have to beat who's inside of me. And good luck. Best of luck to you.
Yeah, no, life is life. And I've gotten to the point where, like they say, if life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And now I'm like, all right, go get me the strawberries because I'm having strawberry lemonade. Screw this. Like I refuse to let negativity, and sometimes you just have to cut people. With everything that's happened in my life, I take fear and I face it because I know after fear there's freedom. Because it's like
that's a big part of fighting is I'm not, and I'll say it, and I've said it a million times, I'm not scared of anybody. So like the second I give you that, like I'm scared of you, if I gave that to somebody, like you're taking away my freedom. Like you have something, I don't ever keep weight on my chest. Like if I have to have a conversation with somebody, if I like we have a problem, like let's handle it now. And I've always been like that. Not saying like let's fight, but like let's talk about it. Like I'm straightforward. I don't do the beat around the bush, or I'm like she's mad at me, like she ignored me. Like okay, if you have a problem with me, talk to me. So like if I'm scared of like another fight, like that's just weight that like I'm like eating me alive. Like no, thank you. Like let's fight. And like again, if you beat me, you beat me. But if not, then like I'm still showing up. So I don't. We're all human beings. We're all. Nobody's like a special made person. That's why I believe like if you believe in yourself and you work hard, like amazing things happen because we're all human beings put on this earth. Like nobody's specially cut out to be something. There's plenty of people more talented than me. Trust me. That's like a given. See me jump, see me do certain things. Like you'll be like, oh wow, shit. Like you're not. But then you don't have my heart though. So
exactly.
There's that. It's all relevant. It's all relevant. That's all I'm getting at.
Yeah, you have that drive. You have that. So, what are your plans?
My plans. So I fought in the Invicta tournament for Atomoids like a month ago or whatever, June 11th. So that was cool. My plan is to get back out there. Hopefully September. They're looking to match me somewhere more local, but nothing fully set yet. But just COVID was a blessing in a sense. I had a really bad bone bruise in my hip. I had a super irritated ligament as well in my hip. So like I actually needed that time to heal up. So that was a blessing a lot of that time. And so like everything coming and opening now is full circle. Like I'm healthy, I'm healed, I feel great. I've been plant-based since February and I love it. So I don't really I limit any animal products, like stuff like that. So like I've just like changed and adapted like so much stuff. So I feel great. I feel awesome. My body is healthy. I'm good. I'm ready to go. So I in that tournament, showed like I belong there with the very best of my division, and like there's no reason I can't hang. So I've been working my ass off for a decade, and I think it's time to show actually what I'm capable of because I haven't done that. People be like, oh yeah, I saw some of your fights, awesome. I'm like, yeah, I didn't perform at all up to what I'm capable of at all, and I know that. So I just over the next 3 to 5 years, I'd like to show up to my potential and do big things.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary that you haven't even reached your potential. You know what I mean? Like you haven't demonstrated everything that you have.
Not at all. Not at all. My boyfriend who passed away, actually, he would come to my boxing matches like years ago. And it would be me, Andrew, and him, and we'd be like I'd fight in New York at Gleason's boxing gym, and on the way back, he'd be like, "You can't box." Like, I won the fight, and he's like, "You can't box. Like, you got to jab. Like, you know, like, kid never boxed a day in his life, but like, just watch box literally." And I would like laugh, but it's funny because I'm like, he was right. I couldn't box at all at the time. I literally like, I just won on pure like, I'm gonna outwork you, and that's how amateur boxing is. It's just wild, and whoever throws more and is the aggressor, like, you're winning. And obviously landing, but like, if you're throwing more punches and landing more punches, like, you're winning, no matter how pretty or ugly it looks. But like, I laugh, and it's like, no, now I need to get to the stage where like I look pretty doing it, and I can. You know, like, that's just like skill. That's like fighter IQ. And like I said to like my coach before this Invicta tournament, I'm like, you know what, I want to show like how much my boxing has even improved. Like, just because I know when I'm training, like, you know if you're making improvements or you know if you're not. And I just feel like my fighter IQ is just so much higher than it was a year ago, a year and a half ago, and I know a year from now it's going to be even higher. So it's like, if your brain can evolve in the sport, then you can evolve. You know, and if your body's healthy enough to hold up, and like I said, my body's healthy, I feel good, I'm still training just as hard. It's just like, but my mind is like, all right, like, you know, you don't need to go wild. I can pick my shots more, you know, let's do more damage. And so it's just like, I have so much more room for improvement that, you know, I never showcase that. I watch, like, if I'm watching UFC, I'm like, I can do that, you know, like, I know I can, I know I'm capable, or I'll be like, damn, why didn't you do that? You know, it's just understanding the game and being more technical than somebody else. Like, that's why they refer to all the chess. You know, it's who's more mentally intelligent at this moment with you know, controlled aggression.
Well, I go for you. Definitely.
Thank you.
Um, that tournament, is that something that you would like to continue to do? Like, how was that experience
It was
versus?
awesome. It was a great night. I felt great. I was literally on weight all week. I literally got there late night Monday. They had us check our weight. Tuesday was 106 pounds. Like, I didn't have to be 106 pounds till Thursday. So, and I attribute that to like the new plant based, like, it literally like just let me keep my weight down, and I was eating carbs. Like, I felt good. So that whole week, that was good. The one round, one opponent, like, it was just awesome. Like, to go against, and it literally, they were interviewing me before, you know, what do I think would help me with this style tournament? I'm like, because I've done countless jiu-jitsu tournaments where I have one opponent for a 5-minute round, then another one who's, you know, fresh or not fresh, the next 5-minute round. It's like, you know, facing 5 different people in one day, you know, within like, all right, you get 10 minutes in between. I'm like, I've done this so many times that like, I'm good. Like, this doesn't psych me out. This doesn't, you know, my mentality is just always so calm, and you know, whatever's going to come out is going to come out, because I trust in my training. That's what I say. Like, I trust in what Andrew tells me. And if my muscle memory is not there now, like, or I'm not going to learn anything new. You know, people in the back will be trying new stuff. It's like, you're not going to learn anything now that you're going to use out there. It's like, what you're literally, what your body resorts to is what's going to come out. And it was just awesome. So it was like, you had no idea who you're facing literally till the night before. There was no me like having one of my training partners mimic what they were doing weeks up to it. Like, nothing could get in your head. Like, it was literally awesome. And there would be no other way that in my second round, as I did, but like, there'd be no other way that like I would have fought around with the number one contender in the world at my weight class and give her a run for my money. And like, we even talked afterward, and we're going to train Jessica Del Boni, you know, when I'm out in Vegas, because she'll cross train there when she has a fight, and my sister lives there, so I go out there to train. But like, there's no other way I would have been able to showcase that I can hang with the best other than this tournament style, because I'm not even ranked in there, because I hadn't fought, you know, since pre-COVID and everything like that going on. So the tournament was awesome. It was literally like, I had a blast. It was so much fun, and it was just a once in a lifetime type thing. Like, yeah, they're going to bring up other tournaments, but to be the first ever of my weight class, you know, in Invicta, it was just awesome to be a part of.
Now, you said that you that it felt good to showcase to people
Yes.
what you're capable of. Was it more for the people or for yourself?
A little bit of both, because everybody, likes to wonder. For years, I've always, even by close people, far people, whatever, everybody likes to be a hater. Everybody wants to see somebody's downfall.
Mm-hmm.
I've had all these adversities. When am I gonna quit? Like, it ain't happening. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trucking until I say I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And so people would love to see you fail, and I just went out there and I was able to have fun. And it wasn't for anybody. It was for myself. But like, we're still on national TV, so like, all you guys can watch me because you're gonna anyways, whether you like me or you don't. So that's what I said. For other people, like, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, people think, oh, I had somebody say, like, oh, if you were gonna pick a fight on YouTube of me to watch, like, which one would it be? Like, what's a good one? I'm like, well, half of them aren't on there, and the ones that are, like, I still kind of look like shit. Like, I haven't. So, like, for me to showcase to the world, that, like, I am a name that, like, should be remembered. I even think to myself, like, any coach who's a big name coach or whatever, and it's like, I've trained out in Vegas, I've trained in California, um, granted not like all over the world, but like where there's big name gyms, and like, I know the way
Mm-hmm.
these coaches look at me, and like, they see something different. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I may not be the most talented, but I'm going to be the most hardworking person in the room. I'm going to train my ass off. I'm going to give you 110% every training session. Like, so like, there's no reason I can't hang with the best. Like, there's no special person. I give up everything when I fight. I literally sacrifice things that people would not
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice at all, because they want their friends and they want to go out and drink, or like, why can't I have that for food? Or, oh, I want to go to the birthday party. It's like, I've literally given up so much,
Mm-hmm.
and I continue to do so, and I like thrive off of that. I love giving stuff up, like, for those 4 or 5, 6 weeks, and like, that to me, like, fuels me. Like, sacrifice fuels me, whereas like, that's where people can't deal with it. They want to do the shortcuts. I don't cut weight. I diet down every time. I've never cut weight for a fight once. I don't do that. People go in the saunas and like cut
Mm-hmm.
10 pounds the day before because I don't want to diet. It's like, no, I eat my lettuce and my fucking string beans and my egg. You know what I mean? Like, I sacrifice for that moment because this means something to me. And like, this is me in the finals, or not in the finals, the tournament, the semifinals. When I went back in and my eye, was damaged. The doctor didn't want to let me go back in. Andrew was like, you don't have to go back in. And it was like, I'm facing the number one girl in the weight class. She just fought for the belt literally
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks ago. I happened to be watching and thought she got robbed. She definitely should have the belt. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, okay, well, fuck it. I'm going out with my shield up. Like, I don't care. I literally have never been able to have so much fun in a fight ever until that Invictus semifinal, that I could just like, I can be here. And I stepped in the cage, and I just remember being like, I could probably get hurt right now too. Like, that's also a possibility. Like, that dude didn't want to let me back in because my eye, like, and it was just awesome. It was literally such an awesome experience that, like, you don't run from danger. Like, like, there's like being stupid, and then there's like being a trained athlete who there's no reason. Like, I have the answers. Like,
Yeah.
somewhere I have the answers. Like, just like, trust. You got to just trust the training and
Yeah.
know that you have an answer, or like, or you can adapt if something doesn't go your way.
Yeah. It's key to stay focused and stay calm and have just understand the reason why you're doing everything. Because if not, everything falls apart. And you knew what you wanted, you knew what your goals were, you did all that, and you're still moving forward. And people are able to see it. People are able to understand it because many people think that it's just obviously there's a red corner and there's a blue corner. And they're like, well, the blue corner, is probably going to lose. Like, they already have that set in their heads because they want the other person to win, but they're not seeing all of the potential that the other person has. And by you being in that cage or in that ring, it should be enough to tell people that, hey, I'm here, which means there's something more. You're just not, they're not throwing you in there because maybe in their heads they're thinking, yeah, I want her to lose, but they're not seeing your true potential. Let's be real. I've seen you fight. I see what you're about. It's you don't give up, you don't stop, you keep pushing forward. Every obstacle that comes your way, you're like, okay, whatever. You jump over it, you go around it, you go through it. It doesn't stop you, and people see you as that person on, that little 30-second clip that they saw on Instagram, or that 30-second clip that so they don't see you for you and all of your talent. But now people know your name and they're seeing who you're about.
Little by little, I'm not going anywhere. So
No, you're not going anywhere. We're not going to let you go anywhere. Andrew's not going to let you go anywhere.
still have more
So
to.
you switched to plant-based.
Yes.
Do you feel any different um, now that you're going back to fighting, like your
Um.
body and all that?
Well, I already am like super conscious of what I eat. Like I love nutrition, and like I've been like that for years. I've been a certified personal trainer for a decade, and like I just once I like started seeing the power of nutrition, like it just
Mm-hmm.
really intrigues me. Whereas like a lot of people don't care, and like they'll eat anything before a training session and like whatever after one, and like I'm like crazy. Like I plan all my meals around my workouts. I need my carbs and good fats before, and then like I need my carbs and my protein afterward. Like, and I'm like, how much protein's in it? Like, I'm really like not like crazy, but I'm super conscious of it. And so like I've
Mm-hmm.
already been like really into healthy foods and this and that. But then I watched some documentaries just on Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
and it just like started piquing my interest. And I was like, you know what? The same way that I take pride in cutting stuff out for a fight camp, I was like, you know what? Let me challenge myself. It happened to be like January like 29. And so like there was like a day or two left in January, and I was like, you know what? February has 28 days. I was like, screw it. I was like, let me finish up what I have in the fridge left of like my salmon. And I was like, for 28 days, I'm not going to have an animal product. I was like, this is a challenge. I can go back to it. This is my own challenge. I'm just doing it for
Mm-hmm.
myself. I'm not doing it for anybody else. I can 100% go back to eating meat when I'm done. And I love meat. I would have laughed at anybody, and even all my family members and my boyfriend was like, remember when I first met you and you said like could never be vegan, and I'm like, absolutely, because I would have laughed at anybody if they said this to me. And because I could never, I ate egg whites, I ate my eggs for breakfast, I had
Mm-hmm.
chicken for lunch, I had salmon for dinner. Like I had literally meat or an animal product with every meal. And so I went 28 days and I started adding more like beans and like lentils, like stuff that like had plant-based protein. Oatmeal even has it. And now I could have more peanut butter. And it was like, wait, I can eat more carbs. And like my body started like leaning out. Like I like couldn't get past a little hump. Like wasn't losing past a certain weight. And then like I went plant-based, and I'm like, wait, I'm eating literally more carbs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm eating more fats. Like my peanut butter, like almond butter is like, and this was what was frowned upon. I'm eating pastas now. Like, and I'm like, wait, I thought carbs were the enemy. And even though knowing carbs should be your number one source of energy anyways, but like for years I've been in the fitness industry, decade, and it was always protein, protein, protein,
Mm-hmm.
have protein with every meal. Make sure it's, your chicken, your egg whites, your fish. And I was like, wait, like the game just changed.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally got done with my month, and I was like, I have no desire to go back to eating the way I was. I'm like, maybe once in a while, and I've had like a bite, like a crab meat stuffed mushroom. I've had like
Mm-hmm.
one. I was like laughing. I had two little calamari like when I went out to eat, because like people are like, oh, do you want one like as part of the appetizer? And then like I even like feel bad because I'm like so still committed to whatever I do. Like
Yeah.
it's my own personal choice, but then I started looking at it. So at first it was just like health benefit wise, because so if you've never watched the documentary on Netflix, it's called Game Changers.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, and it's all about athletes, and like woman was like 50 years old winning like Olympic gold medals. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wait a second, these athletes like are literally like blowing things out of the water, like records out of the water, and eating plants. And I'm like, all right, two of my main training partners for years are both vegan, and they're two of the strongest freaking people
Yeah.
that I have to go against. And I'm like, one of them never gets tired. She never gets tired. I was laughing because she just fought the other night, and like at the end of the fight, she's not tired. I'm like, we'll do like 16 rounds, and she just like isn't even breathing heavy. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm done. Like, I have a lot of cardio, but like she just like is in la la land.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? There's things going for this vegan thing. Let me try it. And I just then once I started liking it for myself, and you know, like I'm just gonna continue this. And now it's been since literally February. What has it been? To July, mid July. I've had maybe a bite or two of things like on a rare occasion, but I just haven't. And it was an easy switch for me because I already didn't, you know, I cut out dairy years ago. I don't have cheese unless I like go out to a diner randomly. Like I don't go out to eat often. But if I like go out and I have something with cheese, I'm not like, oh God, you know, I'll have it. But milk, I already use like an almond milk or cashew at my house. Like that's what I use for my creamer. So there was already so many things setting me up for success with this like little transition that I'm like, you know what? I don't even mind it. I don't miss it. I felt great. And me making weight for like the Invicta, which normally I don't walk around anywhere near 105. I'm always 110 the week before weigh-ins, and then I diet and I like cut out so much. And normally for years I would just eat like 2 egg whites was like my meal, like legit. Like I'd be like, oh look at my meal, like, and I was serious, like, and I'm eating every 3 to 4 hours. But this time around, it's like, okay, your number one source of energy is supposed to be carbs anyways. I'm not eating animal protein. Any protein I do eat, which this was confusing at first, any protein I eat is a carb source also. So at first I was like, shit, how am I even going to get down to 105? I've never done this plant-based. Like I know like have this much protein and this much carbs. And I'm like, well, they're the same thing right now. So I just like track all my stuff anyways in a fitness app. And I was like, you know what, let me just trust it and go by like their standards, you know, for my height, what the weight I want to be. And I literally was on weight, like I'm saying, days ahead of time, where I was eating Cliff Bars as my meal. And I was like, this is way better than freaking 2 egg whites. And I just felt awesome the whole fight week because I wasn't depleting myself at all. I was eating less, but I was eating fruit. I was eating cherries, Cliff Bars. Like, I was like, this is freaking awesome. And to think I would ever go back to like egg whites and like 2 ounces of chicken, you know, it's like it's just crazy. So I love it. And then since I had so many good, you know, I guess personal feedback from it, then I start looking at like the animal point of view, and like of course I care about animals and things that have feelings, and you just really start to like think a little bit more that okay, me not getting 3 cartons of eggs when I go to the store, me not getting 2 packages of chicken, like I'm helping the cause, whether that's my reason or it's not, but it's still helping the cause. And like so many people don't really think about the animal side of it. They just like shut the door on their brain so they don't have to look at it because they want their burgers and they want their fried chicken. But there's so many vegan alternatives that it's crazy, and some taste so good because everything's evolved. It's not 10 years ago when you heard about vegan or anything like that. There are awesome places. I found awesome restaurants, and I like to cook, so I've made stuff myself that I'm like, I don't miss meat at all. But yeah, that was a whole big runner. I'll talk about it forever.
No, but it's good to know because people like I saw that documentary and I started, but I didn't continue.
Well, but you don't have to be 100% anything. So even my boyfriend, like after me being like, oh, I'm gonna do this 100%, and then like him watching documentaries, it's like you still go against like you know, he kind of like get mad like because you grow up like eggs, bacon, you know, sausage, like this is normal, this is an American diet, and so like he still likes his stuff, but he eats less of it.
Yeah.
So it's like before you were having it every day for breakfast, now you'll have it like once in a blue moon. It's like I don't tell you don't eat something, like eat whatever you want to eat, but it starts influencing people. And that like it's funny because like I heard about it for years, meatless Mondays, and it's like, yeah, okay, what is that, like mumbo jumbo? And then now it's like, you know what, it's just an avenue. Like if you can pick one day a week that like you try not to have a meat product, it just, and again the reason of starting it is like health reasons. Like in the Game Changers they show literally somebody's vial of blood is like foggier, you know, you're not gonna perform as well, you're not gonna feel as good if your body's breaking down that animal. So it's just, I don't know, it just comes full circle that I'm like, this is a good idea. So
yeah, I plan eventually.
Huh?
I said I plan eventually. I just have so many food allergies.
Yeah.
That it's like, what the heck am I really going to eat if I can't,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. Is there anything that you would like to share before we conclude with the interview?
I believe I said more than enough. Very much. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. It's nice to hear from you and that you're interested in having me on.
Of
Um,
course.
and I guess plan to see more of me out there kicking some butt.
We look forward to it. I mean, we missed it not being like I miss not being in an actual venue watching people fight. And now that things are opening up, I can't wait to actually see people doing what they love to do and just being themselves. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing the spider monkey do her thing.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you for taking the time on a Sunday because I know it's family day.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
All
Thank
right.
you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.